Welcome back to the Blue Collar Boxing Podcast. As always, I am Luke from Biloxi. I spent the morning re-watching Daniel Dubois' outstanding knockout victory over Fabio Wardley last night to claim the WBO Heavyweight Championship. There were a few things in my initial reaction video I forgot to mention. I pride myself of doing this show sort of free form, not reading from a script or teleprompter, minimal notes. Sometimes I'll refer to my laptop for records, things like that. But first of all, I'd like to mention Don Charles, the trainer for Daniel Dubois. He truly had his Teddy Atlas moment last night. And I'm referring to Teddy Atlas's much venerated performance in Michael Moore's challenge of Evander Holyfield for the heavyweight championship. Michael Moore was also dropped in that fight, I believe, by a left hook from Evander Holyfield and would go on to win a decision, a lopsided decision. And Teddy Atlas got a lot of credit for the passion that he showed in the corner, advising Moore, look, you're going to cry tomorrow. You're better than this guy. You can beat this guy. You're doing enough to just keep him off. You go out there and back this man up. Don Charles with a similar performance last night. I've never seen a trainer slap a fighter twice after a fighter has been knocked down twice. Incredible stuff. Dubois had an awful lot of faith in him, was looking in the corner after the knockdowns just for advice and confidence. It's one thing for a trainer to believe in their fighter and believe in the fighter's skill. We see that all the time. It's another thing for a trainer to be able to implore on the fighter to believe in themselves. That is very hard, and Don Charles did that. He was able to show Daniel Dubois, you've got it, you can beat this guy, you can overcome adversity, you're better. This will be a record performance for a trainer. I'm glad they're back together. I think it's going to be really good things. Obviously, he wasn't there the last fight. They had a falling out, but they're back now. Listen, the fighter is the guy that's out there throwing the punches and taking the punches, but we can have two conversations at the same time. Don Charles did an outstanding job with Daniel Dubois, and he deserves a lot of credit along with the new WBO heavyweight champion. All right, next point I'd like to make is about the knockdowns. One of the things I noticed, and I didn't see it in real time as well as I did analyzing the fight after, is those punches landed on the top of the head and on the top side of the head. That's a very awkward place for people to get hit, even in professional boxing. It does happen. Those are legal blows, but it's not really something you can train for. And Daniel Dubois taking a knee, I think, is a product of that. He got hit in a place he's not used to getting hit. It discombobulated him a little bit. He realized, I need to take that 10-second break so I don't get caught on the ropes and stopped by Howard Foster, of all people. Great calculation by Daniel Dubois. If you notice, after that, and a couple times before that, Wardley landed straight right hands on Daniel Dubois and some uppercuts, and he took them fine. Those punches didn't really bother him. It was the top of the head and the side of the head shots that were significant. I think that's instructive here. It also shows that Dubois actually does have a chin, to be literal, because he was hit in the chin a couple of times. The crowd went wild on a straight right hand from Wardley. I believe it was in round 5. And then Dubois ate it and came back with his own counter shots and suddenly had Wardley in trouble. So that is something I noticed in watching the fight after already seeing it. Another thing I noticed, and I think it reminded me a lot of Wilder Fury 3, where after the knockdowns that Wilder scored against Fury, the 2 in 1 round, I believe it was the third round, Fury basically won every round after that en route to a knockout. And that's exactly what happened here. After the flash knockdown on the first and the more significant knockdown in the third, Daniel Dubois came back in the 4th round and swept 4 through 10, 7 rounds. And it was the same on the judges' scorecards. They all unanimously agreed on the scorecards of the fight. They gave the first and the third to Wardley extra points for the knockdown. They gave 2, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all to Daniel Dubois. In the middle of the fight, watching it live, it was high drama because at any second you thought Wardley would be able to score one of those come-from-behind knockouts. But when you watch it the next day, and obviously I already know the outcome, those rounds were not close, and they were increasingly brutal. They were getting worse and worse and worse. By 6 and 7, Wardley was significantly busted up and wasn't in the fight. So I said a lot of that yesterday in my videos. Obviously, Ben Davison, he put out a press release today saying he didn't see Wardley stumble to the doctor. I believe it was at the end of the 10th round. What do you mean you didn't see it? If you didn't see it, you're not watching your fighter and you don't deserve to be there. Okay? You're not protecting your man. The ref didn't see it either. That's on him. The doctor didn't see it. Like, you're supposed to do an entire sort of evaluation to determine if this man can constructively defend himself against a massive power puncher. That goes for the corner, that goes for the ref, that goes for the doc, and they didn't do it, right? And it should have been stopped probably in the 8th round, maybe even the 7th, not the 11th. Frank Warren put out a tweet earlier today that Wardley is at home resting with family. That's good that he's been released from the hospital. Hopefully they did a full battery of tests to make sure that he's okay, but he's got a long road ahead. All right, so those are my final thoughts on the fight. Tremendous performance from both guys. Amazing heart. Daniel Dubois has heart. We can no longer question that. He has mental toughness. He got off the deck twice, won every round, and knocked out his opponent, and is now a 2-time heavyweight champion. Next, I would like to talk about what I think these guys should do now. I'll start with the former champion Fabio Wardley. I think he needs to take at least 8 months off. Okay? And when I say take 8 months off, I don't even think he should go to the gym. I don't think he should go for a jog. I'm not saying he needs to, eat McDonald's every day and gain 40 pounds. But he went through a life-changing event last night as far as his brain health and his physical health. And he needs to just step away from the sport. He needs to turn his phone off and, as they say in the UK, go on holiday and just get away from boxing. He won't do that because he has a champion's heart, but that's what he needs to do if he ever wants to come back. He needs to monitor his health significantly. Just getting released yesterday doesn't mean that he's okay in the long term. He needs to go for more checkups. But he needs to take 6 to 8 months off, even from going to the gym, and come back in the spring of next year. Come back, take a soft touch, and then evaluate where you are. See how your body and your brain reacts to a training camp and a soft touch fight, and then maybe reinsert yourself and try and make a run. That was a vicious, vicious beatdown. And today, watching it, it was almost even worse because you knew he wasn't going to uncork that right hand and win the fight. In some ways, that may have been the worst thing that could have happened to him, is if he was able to uncork a right hand and then continue to fight like that in future fights. He needs a defensive trainer. He needs to get rid of Ben Davison, who needs to go back to working at Planet Fitness and training people. That's more where he needs to be. He doesn't need to be training high-level boxers. That was just an egregious performance by Ben Davison. Let's move on to WBO newly crowned heavyweight champion Daniel Dubois. What I would like to see him do. Here are my 5 opponents that I would like to see him fight next. And I will also talk about the ones that are not on this list and why they're not. And I would like to say these are my dream fights, not necessarily what's realistic and not necessarily what's going to happen. Number 1 on my list is obviously Deontay Wilder. I'm an American. I want that guy over there fighting these guys to win another heavyweight championship. I think it's a competitive fight. I think Wilder was licking his chops last night when he saw Dubois dropped with 2 overhand and sort of right hook type punches. Those are the Tiller-made Wilder type wild shots that he's going to think that he'll be able to land against Daniel Dubois. Wilder's going to think that he hits harder than Fabio Wardley, and he's also longer and has a more extended reach, which means Dubois sliding in and out is going to require extra effort against a guy like Deontay Wilder, who's coming off of 2 wins. He's got some history in the UK. They know him over there very well. Obviously, 3 fights with Tyson Fury. He knocked out Audley Harrison in the UK, I believe in Sheffield, back in 2013. And, of course, his last fight was a barn burner slobber knocker against Derek Chisora. They all know who he is. I'd love to see that fight. All right, for number 2, I would like to see him fight the winner of Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. And I'll also add a caveat there, maybe fight one of them before the Anthony Joshua-Tyson Fury fight. Look, there's always roadblocks to fights. I know they're saying it's signed, sealed, delivered. Joshua has a soft touch coming up in July, but if he steps on a banana peel there, the fight loses a lot of luster. Maybe Daniel Dubois could step in to fight Tyson Fury, or Tyson Fury sprains his ankle like he did 10 years ago when he was dancing with David Haye, sprained his ankle during road work. I'm joking, of course. Maybe he steps in and rematches Anthony Joshua if he wins his July fight. I could see that happening. Obviously, Matchroom and Queensberry are working pretty well together. That would be a massive fight. I will say this, and I'm an American, so the British guys out there that are watching, check me in the comments if you think so, but I do think the Tyson Fury-Anthony Joshua fight has lost a little luster here because of the magnificent performance of Daniel Dubois and Fabio Wardley last night. There's no way they're going to be able to put on that kind of performance, and I don't know. I'm not as excited now as I once was about that fight, especially because there's no world championship on the line and both guys are on the back end. But anyway, that's my second choice. Moving now to my number 3 choice, I would like to see him fight Agit Kabayel. He's been waiting a long time for a title shot. He is the WBC interim title holder. President of the WBO says they won't recognize that or allow them to unify that. Whatever, I don't care. Usyk busy with a kickboxer, so I don't know. I think that's a really tough fight for Dubois. I would actually favor Kabayel in that fight because of his ability to box and his ability to go to the body. I think those are things that will bother Dubois, but it would still be one hell of a fight between two top 10 heavyweights, and I think Kabayel deserves a title shot. So that's my choice for number 3. As for my 4th choice, a lot of you are not going to like this. Maybe over in the UK you will, but I would like to see him rematch Joyce. That is the last man other than Alexander Usyk to beat Daniel Dubois, beat him on an injury from an orbital bone. Obviously, Joyce is coming off a couple of losses, but he does have that feather in the cap that he's actually beaten him. And Daniel Dubois may want, quote, a soft touch after this. Now, I know we'll get to the 5th choice in a minute. You can guess who that is. There's lingering mandatory sort of obligations for the WBO title. However, I think Frank Warren is going to be able to deal with that. So I would like to see him rematch Joyce, get rid of that blemish on his record. There's no shame in his 2 losses to Alexander Usyk. He's the best heavyweight of his generation, but let's see him get rid of that blemish of Joyce. I think it does significant numbers in the UK, and because of Joyce being so depleted now, it's probably a soft touch, a big payday, and a break for Daniel Dubois. Look, Daniel Dubois has the best resume over the last 10 fights of any heavyweight active right now other than Alexander Usyk. I mean, he fought Usyk, he fought Jarrell Miller, he fought Hrgovic, he fought Anthony Joshua, knocked those 3 out, lost to Usyk, and then knocked out Fabio Wardley. Like, no one else has been on that kind of run. So giving him a soft touch, no shame there. And finally, number 5, the WBO mandatory challenger is Moses Itauma. I put this at 5 instead of 1. A lot of people will put that as their number 1 choice. I understand why. I just don't see it as being likely next. Frank Warren now has 2 cash cows, right? And we're going to get into that marinating process again that we all loathe as professional boxing fans. But Moses is sitting off to the side and can make and do minor stadium fights against limited opposition. It's rumored that he's going to fight in August against an unnamed opponent. They're going to make a ton of money, and then Dubois can take a soft touch and make a ton of money. Why put these two guys together? Let them fight separately. I'd love to see the fight. I think it's a crossroads fight. I think it could be a passing of the torch. I honestly don't know who I would favor. It might be whoever lands first. I think Itauma has the speed advantage, but obviously Dubois has been in with a much, much higher level of opposition. He's feeling himself right now. If he can get that jab going, he might be able to do some serious work against Moses Itauma. I would pay to see the fight. If they make that one next, I'll be very happy, but I don't at all think it's likely. Let's talk about who's not on the list. Alexander Usyk, of course, right? The lineal and former two-time undisputed heavyweight champion. Dubois' 2 title runs now are really as a result of Usyk deciding not to defend those titles, right? That's fine. They're still legitimate world heavyweight championships. You don't want to fight for the belts, you lose the belts. But obviously, Usyk has dominated Daniel Dubois twice now. Dominated him. The first fight, a little bit closer. It was a low blow. I'll die on that hill. Sorry, UK fans. No controversy there. Dubois quit. Second fight, he got starched. Obviously, the wins over Dubois are aging very well for Alexander Usyk. I just don't want to see the fight. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think Dubois has a chance. Usyk has his number. He's never going to be able to beat that guy. There's no reason to go down that road again. Don't want to see it. And then obviously another glaring omission from that list is a rematch with Fabio Wardley. And as I said earlier in the video, I don't think he needs any of that. He needs to heal. Frank Warren announced after the fight that there is a rematch clause in place. Should he choose to execute that? I don't think he will. I'm sure there are caveats to that. It has to be within a certain time frame. And there's no way Fabio Wardley is going to be ready to go in against someone like Daniel Dubois inside of 12 months. I just don't see it. And I don't want to see it again. The last 3 rounds last night were hard to watch. True boxing fans don't want to see that. In a lot of ways, we were watching a man die, and I don't want to do that again. So I have no interest in that. That's why I left him off my top 5 list. Let me know who you think you would like to see Daniel Dubois fight next. What do you think's next for Fabio Wardley? Give me a follow on @BlueCollarBoxing on X, and I'll see you on the next one.